All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a really compelling ancient narrative. It seems simple on the surface, maybe?
Seems simple, but it's got layers. It fundamentally challenges ideas about status and, what worth really means in a spiritual sense.
Right. We're digging into the story of the novices, which you find in the Dhammapada commentary. It's one of those texts that just, well, it pushes you to rethink things, assumptions about respect, maybe power, inner peace.
Exactly. And you have to remember the setting, ancient India, the whole Brahmin status thing was huge. It was top tier, socially, spiritually, often just by birthright.
Okay.
So this story, it really cleverly plays with those expectations, those ingrained ideas, points us somewhere different for what merit actually is.
Okay, so let's unpack it. The story kicks off in Jetavana. There's this Brahmin woman, and she's very diligently preparing a special meal, an udesabata, right?
Yeah, that's significant. It's a meal prepared with great reverence, usually offered to gain merit from really respected people.
And she wants it for 4 senior Brahmins. So she sends her husband off to the monastery. Instructions seem clear enough. Go bring me 4 Brahmins. Simple.
You'd think. But here's the first twist. This is what throws a wrench in her plans immediately.
Okay.
Instead of the, elderly, respected Brahmins she asked for, her husband comes back with 4 novices, 7 years old.
Yeah.
Sakka, Patita, Sopaka, and Ravata.
7. Wow. So just kids then?
Well, yes and no. That's the crucial part. They're not just kids. The text says they are kisavas.
Kasavas, remind us?
It means they're arahants, fully enlightened beings. They've completely wiped out all inner defilements, all impurities, immense spiritual attainment,
Right.
despite being only 7.
Right. So their age is totally irrelevant to their actual spiritual status. Okay, so these 4 young arahants show up instead of the old guys she wanted. How does she take it? The text is pretty vivid here, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, furious. Like salt thrown into a fire is how it puts it. Just crackling with rage. She sees them and just dismisses them instantly. Children. Young as my grandchildren. Something like that.
So no respect there?
None. She refuses them the fancy seats she'd prepared, shoves low stools at them instead, basically sit over there, and then, totally outraged, she tells her husband, go back, go find senior Brahmins and bring them. She's completely hung up on the appearance, the age, the external status.
Okay, so the poor husband has to go back again, still trying to please his wife. This time he brings back someone important.
Very important. Sariputta Thera, a hugely esteemed monk, one of the Buddha's chief disciples.
Ah, okay. So what does Sariputta do?
Well, this is where you see that subtle wisdom. It's quite profound, actually. He gets there, sees the 4 young novices sitting there, on the low stools. He quietly checks if they've eaten yet. They haven't.
Yeah.
And he understands the meal was meant for 4. But he also recognizes who's actually there, their true merit.
So
he just picks up his own bowl and leaves without a word.
wow.
Yeah. It's a quiet, powerful teaching, isn't it? Showing respect for their actual attainment, the arahantship of the novices over just, seniority or who was supposed to be invited. He saw who really deserved the offering.
Even if the host didn't, but the Brahmin woman, she doesn't get it, does she?
Not at all. Completely misses the point. She just asks why Sariputta left and figures, oh, he must not want to eat.
Unbelievable.
So still fixated on getting what she thinks is proper, she pushes her husband again. Go quickly. Find another one. Bring him here.
This poor guy. So off he goes again. Who does he bring this time?
Mahamagallana Thera, another top disciple known for his psychic powers.
Okay, surely he'll stay.
Nope. Exactly the same reaction as Sariputta. He arrives, sees the novices, gets the situation instantly, takes his bowl, and leaves.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Reinforces the same message, doesn't it? The truly wise ones are consistent. They see inner attainment, not just the outward show.
Okay, this is getting tense. The woman must be beside herself now.
Oh, frustrated to her absolute core. So she sends her husband back one last time.
And this time?
This time she's super specific. Forget the monastery. Go to the Brahmin quarter. Bring me one old Brahmin. That's all she wants now. Just someone who looks the part.
And meanwhile, these 4 poor kids.
Yeah, the 4 young arahants. They've been sitting there since morning, hungry. The text says, oppressed by hunger. It's quite a scene.
So their suffering, does that, register anywhere?
It does, but not maybe where you'd expect. If we connect this to the bigger cosmology.
Yeah.
Sakka, the king of the devas, the gods.
Mm-hmm.
His throne apparently heats up when beings of great virtue are suffering unjustly.
Really? Like an alarm system.
Kind of, yeah. So he senses the novice's plight, this injustice, and he knows he needs to step in, personally.
Okay, so a divine intervention is coming. How does Sakka appear? Does he come down in glory?
No, that's the clever part. He disguises himself. He appears as a very old, decrepit Brahmin, stooped, leaning on a stick, looking exactly like the kind of person the Brahmin woman has been demanding.
Ah, playing into your expectations.
Perfectly. He even goes and sits in the chief seat among some other Brahmins, really looking the part. So the husband sees him.
And thinks, finally, perfect.
Exactly. Overjoyed. Now my wife will be pleased, he thinks. And he proudly brings this old, decrepit-looking Sakka home.
So the wife must be thrilled when she sees him, initially at least.
Oh, initially, yes. Delighted. She even gets one of her 2 best seats ready, spreads a special covering on it for him, ready to give him the place of absolute honor.
But then Sakka does something unexpected, I'm guessing.
Totally unexpected. Astonishing, really. As soon as he walks into the house, what does he do? He goes straight to the 4 young novices and bows down fully before them, with his 5 points touching the ground, head, hands, feet. The deepest prostration, ultimate respect.
To the kids.
To the kids. Then, instead of taking that fancy seat prepared for him, he deliberately goes and sits on the bare ground, right next to their low stools.
Wow, that's quite a statement.
A very clear statement about who holds the real worth in that room.
So the Brahmin woman, I can only imagine her reaction now. This must be the final straw.
It is. She absolutely explodes, just loses it completely, starts yelling, calls Sakka a madman.
A madman.
Bowing to children as young as his grandchildren, and she furiously demands, cast him out, throw him out of my house.
The husband tries to.
The husband, poor guy,
Yeah.
is probably just bewildered now. But he tries. Grabs Sakka by the shoulder, the hand, under the armpit, tries to physically lift him up and throw him out. Sakka would not consent to rise. He just stays put, rooted to the spot, like trying to lift a mountain.
Okay, this is getting almost comical, but also serious. What happens when they both try?
Right. The woman joins in.
Yeah.
Both of them grab his hands. They're even beating his back, apparently, trying with all their might to drag him towards the door.
And Sakka.
Still seated. Just rotates his hand slightly. That's all the text says. Rotated his hand.
And that stops them.
Completely. They turn back, maybe stumble, see him still sitting there, utterly unmoved, and they just scream. Yeah, screamed in fear. Finally let go of him. The sheer impossibility of it must have terrified them.
It's then.
It's at that exact moment, yeah.
Yeah.
Sakka decides, okay, lesson time is over. He made known his Sakka nature, reveals his true divine form, radiant, powerful.
Whoa. Bet that changed the mood.
Instantly. Only then, faced with the king of devas himself, is food finally offered to those 4 hungry novices.
Unbelievable story. And their departure is just as strange, right?
Oh yeah, it's not your standard exit. Each of the 4 novices in Sakka leaves through a different, impossible way.
Like how?
One goes straight up through the pinnacle of the roof, another phases the front wall, one through the back wall, one sinks down into the earth, and Sakka leaves through another spot entirely. Like they just dematerialized to the structure.
Making 5 openings.
Exactly. And this incredible event, it wasn't forgotten. It left a permanent mark, you could say.
How so?
From that day on, the house became famous. It was known everywhere as the House of 5 Openings, Panyakachidasha. That name itself tells the story, keeps it alive in local memory, adds that sort of mythical, memorable quality to it all.
So back at the monastery, word gets around, I imagine.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
The other monks are buzzing. They approach the 4 novices, naturally curious.
Yeah.
So, how was your meal at the Brahmin's house?
Yeah, how was lunch, kids? And the novices tell them.
They recount the whole thing. The long wait, the insults, being stuck on low stools, the whole humiliating ordeal. They mention how Sariputta and Mahamoggallana came and left.
Right.
And how Sakka eventually had to step in before they got any food at all.
And then the other monks ask the million-dollar question.
Pretty much. They asked specifically, were you angry? Through all of that mistreatment, all that waiting and hunger, were you angry?
And the novices?
Their answer is immediate, unwavering. No, we were not angry.
Flat out no anger. It's hard to really grasp that level of, well, equanimity, isn't it?
It really is. And apparently some of the other monks struggled with it too. They actually went to the Buddha.
To report them?
Sort of. They suggested maybe the novices weren't being entirely truthful. Speaking falsely, they said. Or maybe declaring something else. The implication being they were sort of indirectly bragging about being arahants, which isn't usually done unless the Buddha asks.
Ah, I see. So how does the Buddha respond to this?
With the absolute core teaching of the whole story. It's profound. He says, quite simply, monks, those who are kusavas, arahants, they do not get angry, not even with people who are angry at them.
Wow. So it wasn't false speech, it was just the truth of their state.
Exactly. Complete freedom from that kind of defilement, an unshakable inner peace that anger just can't touch.
And didn't he recite a verse then, a gatha, to really nail the point?
He did. A very powerful verse. And it directly addresses that word Brahmin, which the woman was so obsessed with.
Okay, so what does the Buddha say truly defines a Brahmin?
Well, he completely redefines it. It's got nothing to do with birth or robes or age or social standing. He says a true Brahmin is someone who is not angry, even when surrounded by angry people. Someone who harbors zero hatred.
Okay, no anger.
Right. And someone who is peaceful, who has metaphorically dropped their weapon or stick, even when on people who are armed or intend harm.
Peaceful among the violent.
Yes. And crucially, someone who has no grasping, no clinging to the idea of I or mine, especially regarding the five aggregates, the components of experience, no attachment while living among those who do grasp and cling.
No grasping. So non-anger, peace, non-grasping.
That person, the Buddha declares, that is who a true Brahmin really is, regardless of how they look or how old they are.
So after hearing this whole incredible story, this journey, what's the big takeaway? The thing that maybe turns our usual thinking upside down?
I think it's that this ancient story just beautifully, powerfully illustrates that real spiritual attainment, genuine worth. It's got nothing to do with getting external recognition or age or social status. Nothing on the outside.
It's all internal.
It's entirely about cultivating those inner qualities. Non-anger, that deep, unshakable peace, freedom from wanting and clinging, especially when you're facing, prejudice, mistreatment, being overlooked. It's about your inner state, full stop.
So the final thought this leaves us with, for you listening, is maybe to reflect on how often our own perceptions might be a bit like that Brahmin woman's. How often do we judge based on the outside, on age or status or just expectations? And in doing so, maybe we miss the real wisdom, the true merit that's right there, but maybe hidden.
Yeah. What hidden arahants, maybe, or moments of profound truth might we be overlooking in our own lives just because we're stuck in our own ideas of how things should look? Worth thinking about, isn't it?